Chapter 7, Part 2, from my novella Bomber by Anthony E. C. Linford. Copyright. Just backing up a bit in this penultimate chapter before the epilogue to place you back in the story where we are. Mike watched as the barrel was placed on the metal stand. He heard the rubber hose being connected to the propane cylinder, while one of the special commandos placed the burner underneath before coming over to the captain and handing him a spark igniter like you'd use on a gas ring. The captain took the igniter, shooing the other pink triangle prisoners away. Mike was shocked as Officer Bauer toyed with the device, inches away from his wide-opened eyes. As he blinked, Bauer continued, "Heads up, boys." Bauer smirked. This little spark can ignite a world of chaos. I will now place this degenerate into that barrel, ignite the burner, or at least have somebody ignite it, and slowly bring this unnatural creature, this sinner against God's creation, this blight on the human race, to the boil. Mike's heart pounded in his chest as Officer Bauer's chilling words filled the air. At that moment, a blonde-haired, black-uniformed SS man strode over to the naked Christoph, who was positioned just near the barrel on which Mike could read the words "Standard Oil." He had with him the igniter. Kneeling as he gestured to one of the special commandos to open the valve, Bauer sparked the igniter. As the blue flame caught, the heat from the ignited flame licked at the edges of the barrel, casting an eerie glow on Christoph's trembling form. Mike was enraged. Forward of the rest of the squad, all eyes trained on the horror in front of them, all focused on this black tableau of mutilation, torture, obscenity, and hate. Mike launched himself to his feet to run ducking low, still zigzagging, right at Hauptmann Bauer. He thought of Archie, the Welsh baritone who threw him his parachute so he could escape certain death. With full force, he knocked the massive man to the ground. Christoph crumpled to his knees, eyes wide with fear. He struggled to catch his breath as he watched Mike overpower Hauptmann Bauer. At the same moment, Mike watched. His thin lips mouthed the words, "Hilf mir, Bruder." Hearing them one last time, Mike jumped at Bauer, who was now reaching for his holster and trying to free his pistol. Then a feeling of absolute peace came over Mike. He regained his feet just as Bauer cocked his weapon. Then there was nothing. No pain, no guilt, no shame, no more light, not even darkness. There was just peace. There was love. In that moment of love, Mike felt some soothing warmth envelop him, as if he was being embraced by an invisible force. He was at peace. Love had spoken one last time. Now, an epilogue that I would especially want you to listen to. My Epilogue. This was a work of fiction. There, of course, would have been gay people who have always served in our armed forces throughout history. Only recently have the military throughout the world acknowledged these people for who they are and how they love. It is somehow quite ironic that Ernst Röhm, leader of Hitler's SA, or Sturmabteilung, or Special Protection Squad, if you like, was a homosexual man. And he was executed during the night of the Long Knives, Die Nacht der langen Messer, by Himmler's SS, having been found in bed with his male lover. Hitler thought the SA were a threat to his power, and hence they were simply killed. But amidst darkness of destruction, love still found a way to exist for others. What is not fiction, however, is the hatred stirred up by so many people against those who are LGBTQI+. That's a fact. It was then, during the Holocaust, and it is now. It was a fact amongst Christians and the Christian church then, and it is clearly now. I assure you that the Germans who claimed to be followers of Jesus Christ were of that same hatred. Just as many claiming to be Christians actively condemn LGBTQI+ people to this very day. I've heard them on YouTube. I've heard them in churches, calling them sodomites, child molesters, and perverts. Just as good Lutheran German Christians, Luther was an anti-Semite, hated the Jews and their lies. So they hate homosexuals, sexual degenerates, liberals, and those they call to their face and in the face of the whole world perverts. That hatred is still being fanned today all over the world. It's a disturbing reality that despite our progress in becoming more inclusive and accepting as a society, hatred and discrimination against LGBTQI+ communities continues to grow. It also grows in Christian churches, but it's camouflaged as hating the sin but loving the sinner. It's taken hold in the hearts and minds of some people who claim they are Christians. They use every opportunity to pass laws that deny LGBTQI+ people civil rights, restrict their freedoms, and somehow pander to the idea that being LGBTQI+ makes you a danger to society, and that we must think of how they are perverting our children. As fascists threaten democracy in the UK and USA worldwide, as it becomes possible that people like Trump may be in power again, as the world lurches further into fascism and fascist control, we must stand with all who are LGBTQI+ and stand up for democracy. Only this way can we continue to make the world a better place for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. We must denounce the rising tide of discrimination and bigotry that threatens the fabric of civil society itself. I finish. Copyright Anthony C. Linford, Great Yarmouth, October 2023.